Coming up on Wow, I Never Knew That. As a kid on a hot summer's day, nothing cools you down like a frozen fruity popsicle. You'll learn how an 11-year-old boy created this sweet, icy treat by accident. And have you ever noticed those colored spinning poles outside a barbershop? You'll be in stitches when you learn how and why they got their start. Then, find out how a melting chocolate bar gave way to the invention of the microwave. Also, what's the real name for the pound key on a telephone? And why we get brain freeze when drinking something ice cold. This and much, much more next on Wow, I Never Knew That. Welcome to Wow, I Never Knew That, the show that answers life's little questions. Hello, I'm JJ. Wow, I Never Knew That is jam-packed with exciting tidbits and fascinating facts that uncover the truths and origins behind the stuff you're already familiar with. From the items you use every day, to the phrases you use in conversation, to the habits you're so accustomed to, you'll be fascinated to learn how they've all really come about. Later in the show, we'll explain how popsicles were invented. Would you believe it was an 11-year-old boy who came up with the idea for this frozen treat? We'll explain how it was his forgetfulness which led to this creation. But first, take a look at this, and I'll bet you'll say, wow, I never knew that. It's one of the most used rooms in the house, from brushing your teeth to taking a shower, and most importantly, relieving yourself. And speaking of relieving yourself, there is one term that some people use when they have to hit the loo. You know what that is, but where did that term come from? It all started in the 1800s when Prince Edward of England asked a master plumber and sanitary engineer, Mr. Thomas Crapper, to supply the plumbing for his new estate. Thomas Crapper did not invent the toilet. The flushing toilet was invented by a man named John Harrington in 1596. He helped popularize the phrase, going to the John. But the other infamous name we're all familiar with was actually created by American servicemen stationed in England during World War I. They saw his name on the tank above the toilet. The soldiers would say, "I'm going to the..." Well, you can fill in the rest. Life can be a lot of fun, but it's not without its aches and pains. Luckily, there's a medicine for just that. Aspirin. French chemist Charles Frederick Gerhardt is credited with the discovery of aspirin in 1853. Gerhardt neutralized salicylic acid by buffering it with sodium salicylate and acetyl chloride, creating acetyl salicylic acid. But he had no desire to market the pain reliever drug and abandoned his discovery. It was not until 1899 that a German chemist, Felix Hoffmann, discovered Gerhardt's formula and saw its true potential when treating his father's arthritis. Hoffmann convinced his employer, Bayer, to market the new wonder drug. The name aspirin was a made-up name. The A comes from the A in acetyl chloride. The spire comes from Spirea ulmaria, which was a plant they got the salicylic acid from. And the N was a common ending for medicine at that time. Scantastic! How cool is the barcode scanner? But how do those black and white lines translate into information we can understand? Well, first off, the barcode is actually called a UPC code. UPC stands for Universal Product Code. There are 11 important digits in the code. The first 6 digits are the manufacturer's identification number. The second group of 5 numbers is the item number. Each manufacturer has to assign a unique number to each item they sell. The code is printed 2 ways, a machine-readable one and a human-readable one. Once an item's barcode runs across the scanner, The scanner picks up the barcode's numbers, and the computer finds the matching record that is linked with that specific code. This gives you the product name, its size, weight, and any other information the manufacturer wants to be associated with that particular number. The printed number is there just in case they have to be entered manually. The extra digit at the end is called the check digit. By using that digit and a whole lot of fancy math, the computer determines if all the numbers scanned are accurate. Thanks to barcodes, you can scan through the checkout aisle. Going on a family road trip? Quick, get the GPS. Invented by the U.S. Department of Defense and Ivan Getting at the cost of $12 billion, GPS stands for Global Positioning System. GPS uses satellites or man-made stars as reference points to calculate geographical positions, accurate to a matter of meters. Though elements used to create GPS were developed as early as 1959, it would be several decades before the technology was fully operational. In 1993, the U.S. Air Force launched the final satellite needed to complete the system of 24 satellites orbiting the Earth to make GPS fully operational. Talk about a long journey. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. So why do we get those little swelling nodules on our skin when we get scared or slightly chilled? Goosebumps are small bumps in the skin that appear when muscles tighten. These muscles pull body hair into an erect position. This was left over from a time when humans had more hair. These bumps only appear after one of two stimuli are present: cold or fear. In animals, if chilled, erect hair would create a layer of insulation to trap air, thus creating a barrier between the skin and the cold air around them. In the case of fear, when the erect hair would stand on end, it gave the illusion that the animal was larger and more intimidating. Today, humans still get these bumps, but they really provide no known benefit. Coming up, how geese take the pressure off one another by flying in a V formation, and how fireflies light up the sky with their magic bellies. During many celebratory events, people often make a toast. But how does drinking wine and heated bread relate? It turns out in 12th century England, wine at the time was often bitter and didn't taste that good. To improve its flavor, people dipped spiced toast in their drink to make it more palatable. And usually, a speech was added to spice up the gathering as well. Eventually, any sort of drinking salutation eventually became known as a toast.
Hi, it's me again. Listen to this. Medicare Part C plans with extra benefits like getting money added back to your Social Security check every month may now be available to you in your zip code. Make sure you're not missing out. It's simple. 1, call the number on your screen. 2, they'll look up your zip code and see if you're eligible. 3, they'll check for plans with extra benefits like prescriptions, dental coverage, and the benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every single month. Call now.
I called to get everything I deserve.
I called to check my zip code for a plan with the benefit that adds money back to my Social Security check.
I called to check my zip code.
Check your zip code. It could be dynamite. Call now.
Call 1-800-690-6450. That's 1-800-690-6450 now.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Diabetics understand all too well the pain of pricking your fingers. But now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can immediately reduce your pain. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 or more times daily, injecting insulin 3 or more times daily, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. If you or someone you love has developed Parkinson's disease after being exposed to gramoxone or any herbicide containing the deadly chemical paraquat, you may be entitled to financial compensation. If you worked on or lived near a farm or field with ongoing herbicide treatments and developed Parkinson's, call now. A toll-free hotline has been established for victims and their loved ones to get the justice they deserve. There are time deadlines, so don't delay. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
Call 800-594-3068.
Welcome back. I'm JJ. This is Wow, I Never Knew That, the show that's flying high with amazing facts. And speaking of flying high, so why do geese fly in V formation? Flying south for the winter. What a great way for geese to find warmth and food during the cold months. Have you ever watched them fly overhead? Notice anything peculiar? Perhaps that they are flying in a V formation. Ever wonder why they didn't fly side by side or in a straight line? Well, it all has to do with aerodynamics. Now, if you look carefully, each bird flies slightly above the bird in front of him. This results in a reduction in wind resistance. And would you believe, when the lead bird gets tired, it flies to the end of the formation and a new bird leads the way. This formation also helps them glide more often. See, it pays to have feathered friends. There's nothing like a good shave and a haircut, so it's off to the barber. But have you ever noticed those colored spinning poles outside the barbershop? The meaning of those poles have an interesting start. In the Middle Ages, the barber was the only person in town that possessed delicate, sharp instruments critical for a close trim. However, those sharp instruments also came in handy for other reasons, and that was to perform minor surgery. Yup, the barber was also a surgeon and a dentist. They performed bloodlettings, amputations, even some tooth extractions. After the little operation, the barber would hang the bloody bandages outside their shops to dry. The bandages would twirl in the wind. As time went by, the real bloody bandages were replaced with a fake permanent pole painted with red and white stripes. This helped convey the same message, but it was a heck of a lot more sanitary. This certainly gives new meaning to the phrase, a close shave. When you crack your knuckles, some think the sound you hear is the cracking of your bones. Now, I'll let the gas out of this ancient myth. When joints crack, you hear a popping, snapping, and grinding sound. These joints are located in your knees, ankles, knuckles, back, and neck. But you'll be surprised to know that it's not the bones, but gas that is making the sound. A liquid called synovial fluid is present in your joints as a lubricant. It contains oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide. When you crack a joint, you stretch the joint capsule. Gas is rapidly released, making that cracking sound. Drinking a freezing cold ice slush on a hot summer day is great, but don't drink it too fast or you'll get brain freeze. Brain freeze happens when there is a rapid change in temperature in your mouth. You see, the temperature change of the tissue on the roof of your mouth causes capillaries in the sinuses to constrict. This sends an emergency signal to the brain to remedy the problem. In other words, your body is trying to warm the area up. Then, as this happens, the dilation or widening of the vessels are what causes the pain. But why does your head hurt, you ask? Because the nerves in your brain also sense facial pain. The brain believes the pain signal is coming from the forehead and not your mouth. It's those swelling blood vessels that causes the headache. This is called referred pain, since the cause of the pain is in a different place from where you feel it. The best way to remedy brain freeze is to place your tongue against the roof of your mouth. This will help warm up the area, or drink a hot beverage, or heck, you could just slow down the intake of the cold item in the first place. They light up the night, those magical insects known as fireflies. But it may surprise you that fireflies aren't flies. They're actually beetles, over 2,000 species of them. Some species use their glow to attract mates. Others use it to ward off predators, and others use their glow to lure in dinner. But how do they light up? It's called bioluminescence. You see, every firefly has special cells in their stomachs called photocyte. These cells create the fluorescent goo called luciferin. But luciferin isn't enough to make their bellies glow. So the firefly produces the enzyme luciferase to react with the luciferin. Then, when the firefly adds in beats of oxygen, a chemical reaction erupts, and the result is a stunning ray of light. Next, how a melting chocolate bar helped create the microwave oven. And we all know it as the pound key on a telephone. We'll tell you the real name of the key and why it was created. Stick around. When U.S. highways were constructed, everything from the number of lanes, width, and shoulders of the road were considered. Even how the highways were numbered. Any interstate highway running north to south is identified with an odd number, and each road as it goes from the west to the east grows in numerical value. So, the lower numbers start in the west and increase as they make their way across to the east. Any route that goes across country or east to west are assigned even numbers. The numbers get bigger as they move up the country from the south to the north.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day and injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call now and learn how to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
If you or someone you love has developed Parkinson's disease after being exposed to gramoxone or any herbicide containing the deadly chemical paraquat, you may be entitled to financial compensation. If you worked on or lived near a farm or field with ongoing herbicide treatments and developed Parkinson's, call now.
800-715-2029.
One study found a strong association between Parkinson's disease and paraquat and suggested a 2.5 times increased risk. The manufacturers of paraquat-based herbicides failed to list the health risks of their products and the link to Parkinson's. Whether you used paraquat-based herbicides or live near treated areas, you could qualify to receive significant financial compensation. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with Parkinson's after exposure to gramoxone or any herbicide containing paraquat, call now to get the justice you deserve. Don't wait, there may be time deadlines for financial compensation. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
Call 800-715-2029 now.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. If you or a loved one were exposed to paraquats and later diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Paraquat, a highly toxic commercial herbicide, has been linked to a significant increased risk in developing Parkinson's disease. Call now to find out if you qualify. Don't be a victim. Get the help you deserve. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call right now.
Call 800-481-1556.
Hi, we're back. I'm JJ. This is Wow. I never knew that. We all love the convenience of popping some popcorn in the microwave. In only a couple of minutes, it's piping hot and ready to eat. But how does this amazing piece of technology work? And how was it invented? Now, the origin of the microwave. What can be better than popping a bag of popcorn in a microwave, and in just minutes, you are enjoying delicious hot popcorn? So, how was this oven that doesn't really get hot invented? It all started around 1946 when Dr. Percy Spencer was working on a special project for the Raytheon Corporation. He was testing a new vacuum tube called a magnetron. While standing close to this device, he noticed something strange happening to something he had in his pocket. It was a chocolate bar that mysteriously melted. Somehow, the tube was giving off waves of energy that were cooking anything in its path. Intrigued by this discovery, Dr. Percy then built a metal box with an opening where he fed this microwave power. He was able to cook an egg and even pop some popcorn. His accidental discovery changed the way we cook foods forever. Today, the modern microwave saves us tremendous amounts of time and is a standard kitchen appliance just like the stove and the refrigerator. One of the downsides of cooking with onions is that they make your eyes water. But why? Well, it all starts with when the onions are first grown. You see, the onions absorb sulfur from the soil that they're planted in. So, when you cut into an onion, a chemical reaction occurs between the enzymes in the onion, propanethiol S-oxide, and the sulfur, which then mix together to create a gas. This newly formed gas rises into your eyes, which causes a burning sensation. To fight this potent vapor, your body automatically causes your tear ducts to react. These soothing tears are created to help flush the offending irritant away. Hey, but there's some good news on the horizon. Researchers have figured out how to genetically engineer a tear-free onion. They found a way to hinder the enzyme lacrimatory. But for now, here are 2 tips to reduce tears when cutting onions. Put the onion in the refrigerator. Its cool temperature slows the chemical reaction. Or simply cut the onion underwater. Press the pound key if you're ready to learn something new. You know, that button on your phone that looks like a tic-tac-toe board. We know it as the pound key, but that's not its real name. It's actually called an octothorpe. The key itself was invented by Bell Labs, the company that invented the touch-tone phone. The engineers were trying to make telephones interact with computers. They needed 2 additional keys beside the number keys to make the system work. They usually acted as a pause signal. There are numerous claims as to how the name was created. Some include that it was named after James Edward Oglethorpe, an English philanthropist, or the fact it has 8 points, which comes from the Latin word meaning 8-sided figure known as an octagon, or even that the symbol looks like a village surrounded by 8 fields. And thorpe is a Scandinavian word for village. And finally, that it's named after an Olympic medal winner, Jim Thorpe, who was at one time revered as the greatest athlete of the 20th century. Whichever story you like better, it doesn't matter, because eventually the octothorpe name got replaced by the much easier pronouncing pound key. Coming up next, it cools you down on a hot summer's day, and we especially loved them as a kid. Learn how a forgetful child created the POPSICLE. Coming up next. Belly buttons are located at the lower center of our stomach, but why are some innies and other outies? It turns out an innie or an outie is determined by how the doctor cuts your umbilical cord. When you are born, the first scar you get is when the cord that attaches you to your mother is cut. If the cord is cut very close to the skin, you get an innie. If the cord is cut farther from the skin, you get an outie. And on very rare occasions, when the cord leaves no visible markings, you have no belly button at all.
If you or a loved one have been exposed to gramoxone or any pesticide containing the deadly herbicide paraquat and developed Parkinson's disease, you may be entitled to financial compensation. If you worked on or lived near a farm or field with ongoing pesticide treatments and developed Parkinson's, call now. A toll-free hotline has been established for victims and their loved ones to get the justice they deserve. There are time deadlines, so don't delay. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
Call 800-594-3068.
Travel is getting back to normal. Now is the perfect time to fly somewhere. You can save up to 75% on more than 500 airlines and 300,000 hotels. Use our free service to find the lowest prices we have. You know you're itching to go somewhere, so make this free call right now. We have all the best airline, hotel, and rental car prices all in one place. The best way to get these rock bottom prices is to call. Are you being audited? And do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Welcome back to Wow, I Never Knew That. I'm JJ. In a moment, we'll learn why people tell performers to break a leg. Then it will be time for a fruity frozen treat. You'll learn how a young boy and then later his kids helped invent our favorite fruit ice pop. I'm talking about the Popsicle. You're performing in a show tonight. Well, break a leg. Actors who are known for their superstitions started wishing each other to break a leg around the 1920s. The idea was, if you wished a performer bad luck, then the exact opposite would happen. Good luck. There are numerous claims as to how this expression came to be. Some include that you might break a leg from all the bowing you would do from the applause you were receiving, or that you would have to bend your leg to pick up all the money the audience threw on the stage. Or even that in ancient Greece, instead of clapping, they would stomp with appreciation to the point that they would literally break their leg. And finally, audiences showed their appreciation for the performance so much, their chair legs would break. Whichever story you decide, one thing is for sure. If your friend is in a play, wish them the bad luck they deserve. As a kid, on a hot summer's day, nothing cools you down like a fruity frozen popsicle. So, how was this chilly concoction created? Well, in 1905, a young 11-year-old boy named Frank Epperson left some soda, water, and a stirring stick on his porch overnight. When he awoke, he was surprised to see that the unusually low temperatures had frozen his mixture like an ice cube. He thought his new creation was pretty cool and named it after himself, the POPSICLE. It quickly became a favorite among his young school friends. Then, almost 20 years later, he realized his treat could be a commercial success. He changed the name to POPSICLE after his own children's request for POPSICLE. And wonder why they come with two sticks? During the Great Depression, the ice pops could be split in two, so two kids could enjoy the frozen treat for the price of one. Here are some interesting facts you probably didn't already know. Cherry is the #1 popsicle flavor. And you can find a riddle printed on the sticks, but you can't find the answer until you've eaten the whole pop. And the sticks themselves are made of birch. That's a lot of sticks, because there are 2 billion ice pops sold each year. Well, thanks for watching. I'm JJ. See us again next time when we'll have you sing, "Wow, I never knew that."